With the latest farm and ranch news, market reports, and more, this is KLBK's Ag Journal, sponsored by Wiley Implement and Spray Center.
Today we're talking to beef advocate for the 2024 year, Emma Kaufman. So Emma, you said you described yourself as a first-gen agriculturalist. So what does it mean to kind of have built yourself up from the bottom?
Sure. Well, Leah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I think anytime you go off on your own, especially a huge industry like agriculture, it is a little daunting at first. And so my mom was in the military, dad was finance. And so I didn't really have much experience and much less resources going into starting this field and then the company W Ranch Agency that I have now. And so I think that throughout my professional career, but also just my experiences, I hope to show people who are wanting to get into agriculture in some fashion that it is possible. You don't have to come from a multi-generational operation. You don't have to have a PhD level of experience or education in order to get into the industry. So I'm just trying to pave that path as well as bridging the gap between consumers and producers.
Right. You said you had a passion. You just followed it.
Yes, I'm obsessed with the agriculture industry. I couldn't get enough of it. So that probably helps. Now this is what I do full time. But yeah, it started when I was in 4-H and it just grew from there. And I have pretty much the 4-H program to thank for where I'm at now. Whether you're doing 4-H or FFA, those programs, I could not and would not be where I'm at now without it. So highly recommend getting involved if you're within the age bracket.
Okay, and so with that award that you said you got it through the NCBA. Can you talk a little bit about how important that is, not only for Texas, but for the nation?
Absolutely. So NCBA is the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, and they focus on policy. We have representatives all over the country, but they are mainly in D.C., advocating for agriculture in a political climate. So they do law and legislation that affects eventually the everyday producer and consumer. Now, the award for the advocacy actually came from the Beef Checkoff. Completely different. There's a firewall between the Beef Checkoff and NCBA. The Beef Checkoff, the very iconic Beef It's What's for Dinner campaign, that's who funds that. They do more of the education and advocacy route as well as nutrition and research for consumers. So while NCBA does get Beef Checkoff dollars, they have to apply for that and also prove that those funds aren't going into any kind of legislation or policy. So two different entities, but both extremely important for the protection and supply of the beef chain.
Exactly. And I like how you said, beef what's for dinner. I think a lot of Texans know that that's kind of their go-to, And, that being said, we've been talking a little bit about a rise in beef prices. Do you have kind of any takes, any advice? Maybe we'll see prices going down soon?
Yeah, so consumers need to realize and keep in mind maybe that we are dealing in unprecedented times of inventory shortage. So the beef animal takes much longer to get to a finish, whether it's a processing weight or to a mature weight to be able to reproduce. So keeping that in mind, that is why those costs are so much higher than, say, other protein sources. Those other protein sources taking much shorter length of time to actually get to that point. And so while you might see a rise at the counter right now, just know that it comes in waves, supply, demand, just like any other product on the market. When you have a shortage of supply and a high demand, those prices go up. But then the same thing is once we get those herd numbers replenished, then we'll probably see those prices come down. I'm not an economist by any means, but it is 100% certain that we are seeing the consumption of beef still rise and the demand for beef is still high and climbing. So despite prices, consumers know that beef is a nutritious protein resource full of essential amino acids and just packed full of nutrition that is not only the best bang for your buck, but also a delicious and tasty way to get your protein.
Absolutely. I mean, who's going to barbecue without beef?
That's right. That's right. I'm not me.
That's what I'm saying. Well, Emma, it was a pleasure talking to you. And the good news is that Emma's actually going to stick around with us here on KLBK. She'll be the new Ag Journal reporter for us, and I'll be taking a full-time position in weather now. So, Emma, thank you again, and we're so excited to have your face here on KLBK.
Thank you, Leah. Can't wait.